Hello there, it's Maggie here. It's Friday the 4th of June and at the moment I'm still in Southport. By the time I upload this I'll be back home, but I just wanted to talk to you today about how I adapt my journeys and plan my travel so I can have a short break away while I'm on my own, and the practicalities I have to get round and some of the factors that I have to consider when I'm planning to go away. I have to tell you that the sun is quite blinding. I think I'm gonna just come back a little. Oh, that's better. I hope not to be blinding you. I hope really to be looking into the camera lens today so that you can see me. So I hope you're enjoying your Jubilee weekend. My week here, it's half term, and one of the factors that I consider is that my carer needs time on holiday. So I try and look at, can I do something while she's away? If I had to replace her, it would be very expensive to replace her with agency staff. In fact, I wouldn't be able to afford to do that. So that's the ideal time for me to look at, can I manage going somewhere and what's possible. Now, with it being Jubilee week, I thought that the hotels would be really busy and booked up, and that I couldn't get any accommodation. I think that the travel lodges, the Premier Inns, the smaller, the family orientated places are probably busier than little hotels like this week. But I couldn't afford to come away for the whole week. Last weekend I looked at the prices, and Saturday, Sunday, even Monday, the prices were too high for me, and I've opted to come here to Southport Tuesday to Saturday, which gives me enough recovery time from getting here and planning to get back, and gives me a few days in between to actually do something. And the price went up again for Saturday night. When I book a double room, I'm actually paying the equivalent of two people, but I'm just a singleton in the room. So I'm just going to talk to you then about some of the holidays I've had in the UK and some of the plans that I make, and how I managed to do it on my own. I don't have a carer with me, so there's no possibility of going anywhere in a wheelchair. I am in Southport, and it's one of the few places I come to where it's flat. Southport, Liverpool are both on the Merseyrail network, and from Chester I can get all the way up to Southport on the train for a single day return for £5.50. Now that's with no bells and whistles. That's not because I'm a pensioner, it's not because I'm disabled, that's just how much it is, which is absolutely brilliant. It does mean that I have to change in Liverpool in Central Station, so I have to be able to get through the station platforms. I always use the lifts, and get back on a train again and then recover and off at the other end. And the way that I do that is taxis, but at both ends. And if you're nice and ask the taxi drivers nicely, they'll lift my case in and out of the car or their boot for me, and I always give them a little bit of an extra tip for helping me. If I needed it, so if, for example, tomorrow I'm struggling getting through the stations, there's the ring the bell for assistance, and I would do that. It's not obvious to people as they look at me that I've got a disability, and I don't walk with a stick. I find that they hinder me rather than help me. And when I've spoken about broken my shoulder, that was my first outing on my own, when I tripped up the steps getting into the hotel and fell and broke my shoulder and my hand. So I'm very, very cautious when I go out, and I try and be very careful. So the places that I find I can get are Southport, Liverpool and Llandudno. And I only return to a place I've been to before and checked it out. Now, I either come to this hotel, for example. I came here first with a carer, and we checked out where it was, how far away it was, what the hotel facilities were like. Was there a lift? I don't even bother going to a hotel that's got no lift. Are there rooms with disabled access? Are there ground floor rooms? Can I get in and out the shower or the bath? is there 24-hour reception desk? Is that there actually isn't a phone in the room here, but I'm not that far away from knocking. You can always knock on the wall to somebody and say, listen, I've got a problem, can you go down to reception for me and mention XYZ. And when I speak to the staff when there is a problem, for example, when I came to this room, there was no, although there's a non-slip surface in the shower, I wasn't very confident, so I went down and asked, I'm not quite sure whether you can help me here, but is there any chance you can get me a non-slip mat? And somebody had asked her a few weeks back, so she managed to find one. So I felt much safer with that. I always bring my own little non-slip rubber mat with me, and that's sufficient to go under the bath mat that you step out on when you step out of the... Oh, look at the sunshine here, it's gorgeous, isn't it? When you step out of the shower onto that bath mat, I don't want to slip on that floor, and that's the thing I travel with now. So much of it is about, am I going somewhere that I know, and I will now only book places that I've been to before, either with a carer, either with a friend, or I'm meeting up with a friend when I go to stay at that place. There has to be assistance for me should I need it. I book using booking.com, and I always use the facility of free cancellation. So I book, it's in effect reserving the accommodation and cancelling up to about 48 hours in advance of coming away if I wasn't well, if the weather was bad, if it had well, I don't go away in the winter, but if it had started to rain, if the weather forecast was awful for the week, I'm going to cancel. And one of the reasons for that is rain makes the pavements and the roads very slippy, and steps, stairs outside just make it just that much more of a risk factor for me. And really, do I want to come out somewhere and get soaking wet? No, I don't. Although I've got an umbrella with me, I wouldn't mind, you know, if I got caught in an occasional rain shower. I actually just got back to the hotel yesterday in time, and then it poured with rain overnight. But the sun's cracking the flags today, and I'm not able to go out today. So I have to have a plan B. Sorry, I'm just checking my notes because I did make a few notes there. When I plan my journey, I talked to you about bringing drinks with me, and I have to look at what about if one day I'm not able to get out of my room. And that's a very realistic proposition, and actually that's what's happened today. So it's now Friday. I travelled here on Tuesday. I was able to have a walk up the Lord Street promenade to the shops and the tea shops, and have some dinner out in the afternoon on Wednesday afternoon. Yesterday, I managed to get myself to the Southport Food Festival. If you haven't seen that yet, go back and take a look at that little video. That was really very nice. If I had struggled to get back from there, I can always ring a taxi, and I'll say to the taxi drivers, listen, I'm really sorry. I know it's not very far, and this is not a very big fare for you, but I'm struggling to get from the fairground back to the the flower show ground back to my hotel. And it's not far for most people, but if it's just too far for me, then I'll ring up. That's why I got a mobility component with Pip. And if you look at what am I going to use that for, it's paying for those taxis. If worst came for the worst and I wasn't able to get a train back tomorrow, I haven't got anybody to ring up and say, can you come get me? I haven't got family, and my carer's on holiday. I wouldn't dream of ringing her. If the worst came for the worst, I would use that money. It's in my bank account, and I would use that money to ring for a taxi and get a taxi. I'd actually find out first how much it was going to cost, but I'd ring a taxi and say, can you get me back to Chester? And I'd use that money for that. Now, without all of those considerations, I wouldn't be able to come away. Well, do I really want to live my life just spending my life in my flat? No, I don't. I don't want to live my life that way. So I plan B into all of my journeys. And you've seen that in my preparation. I plan drinks. I always bring some crafting with me. So I plan what I'm going to do. I've done all my puzzles already. I've started George Michael. He's here. He's here. I'm not going to reveal anything about him yet, but I've got my pencils and my rubber in the little pot that they provided with the drinks in. Well, that's a very convenient pencil place for me. I can get water every day, just popping down in the lift to the fridge outside the lift and get fresh water. Pop that, either drink that or put that in the kettle. I've got a meal deal on the way at WH Smith's at the railway station, and I've got the drink from that still, and that's a Lucozade. I'm going to have that shortly. I'm going to open that. And the other thing today, because I couldn't get up this morning, I bring breakfast bars with me. So although I've paid for bread and breakfast, I couldn't get down there. So I bring my little breakfast bars. Oh, that's going to be very shiny. I'm sorry, I don't want to blind you there. They're the little Belvita blueberry muffin. Oh, I don't know, but they're really delicious. I've had one of those already. And then my ever faithful, if you've got a kettle in the room, I always bring cup of soups. And I can always drink 1 or 2 cup of soups over the course of the day if I can't get down to get an evening meal. And I think that's what's going to happen today. And so it's going to be Lucozade, Belvita, cup of soup. Don't forget, I bought baklava yesterday and I've got a piece left over. I'll have that as a treat for my tea. I've still got Britain's Got Talent. I've still got my crafting to do. So although the weather's now picking up, I really don't think I'm going to risk going out today. And I have to work on the principle that I can't be disappointed with that. It was always a possibility and likely to happen. And I built plan B into my journey plans. So if I was with somebody else, they'd be terribly disappointed, or they'd say, well, come on, we'll go out in your pushchair. Not a pushchair. I'm not a baby. I don't mean a pushchair. It's a long time since I've been in one of them, in a wheelchair. The other thing is, I think I would look into, perhaps the next time I came, looking at renting one of those mobility scooters. I might have a chat with the staff here and see whether there are ramps and access here. I haven't seen anybody manoeuvring around here in one of those mobility scooters. Your thing is you have to leave them charging up overnight, and you've got to leave them in a place where it's safe so that other guests, hotel guests, aren't going to trip over it. So I might look into that. I look at overall, by the time I get home, was that a nice little breakaway? I can already say, actually, yes, it was. I shouldn't use the word break, should I, when I'm talking about trying to keep safe and not fall over. I do try and make sure I'm not tripping over pavements, pavement sticking up. I wouldn't have gone anywhere that's got cobbles, for example. Chester city centre for me is a bit of a nightmare. I'd rather go out now to somewhere that's flat like Cheshire Oaks than Chester city centre, which is a great shame. They really don't cater very well for the disabled or for people with prams, walking difficulties, and even just trying to pull a suitcase along on wheels behind you. You soon notice if there's a bump in a pavement or there's no step down at the pavement edge. Well, when you're disabled and in a wheelchair, you notice that even more. So my plan is tonight I'm going to carry on with George Michael in the daylight, and I'm going to go in the shower later on in the day. I'm far safer doing that later in the day than early morning. I'm going to continue to take my painkillers. Quite happy with the food and drink I've got planned here, and I've got Britain's Got Talent to watch. I did miss the service this morning. I had intended to watch it after breakfast. The was it St Paul's Cathedral Queen's Jubilee service, but the Queen wasn't at it, was she? I knew that in advance. So I'm still going to watch Britain's Got Talent, plan to go home tomorrow, and then my plans for the rest of the Jubilee weekend will just be getting home safely, staying home safely until Monday when my carer's back. I do have agency coming in to me on Sunday. Monday when my carer's back, I'll be really pleased to see her, and I'll be able to tell her what well, I'll be able to show her now. I've been recording it, what my little mini break over the Jubilee weekend has been like. It might not be the same as anybody expects it to be, but it's been my break and I've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed it with me too. So this is Maggie saying bye for now. See you soon.